What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Ghost Girl Punk deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Izzy. And this deck is an extremely interesting deck to play because it plays the majority of the Ghost Girl hand traps to be able to control the board while using your Punk engine to be able to make some awesome boss monsters. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. And definitely give Izzy some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom. This card is one of the best hand traps ever created because it just stops your opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Ghost Mourner. Ghost Mourner is a definite 3-of in the build as well because this card is just basically a monster negate. We then play 3 copies of Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. This card has an hilarious interaction in this deck with Psychic End Punisher because this card lets us gain life points every time our opponent special summons a monster, which is crazy powerful because our life points are going to get really large and our copy of Psychic End Punisher is going to get even bigger, which is insane. This card is really good as a 3-of in the build because you do play Psychic End Punisher. We then play 2 copies of Ghost Bell. Ghost Bell just stops your opponent from touching the graveyard, but it's still a really good 2-of in the build. We then play 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Ghost Ogre is insane in this build as well, because this card just pops cards on the field. We then play 3 copies of Z-Almond. Z-Almond is really good as a 3-of in the build because you actually pay 600 life points to add a Punk monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is an insane effect to be able to add any Punk monster you want from your deck to your hand off this card's ability. It's our best normal summon in the entire deck, and a card you always want to see. We then play 3 copies of Foxy-Tune. Foxy-Tune is a definite 3-of in the build because this card has the ability that you can actually send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and then send a card from your hand to the grave, and if you do, special summon a Punk monster from your deck except a level 8 monster, which is an insane effect to get the exact card you want on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Ogre Dance. Ogre Dance is basically the Rhoda for the deck because this card has the ability that you send this card from your hand or field to the grave to add a Punk monster from your deck to your hand except a level 8 monster, searching the exact card that you need. We then play 2 copies of Deer Note. I feel like 2 is all you need for this card, but this card is really good in the build because you can reveal one other Punk monster in your hand to special summon either the revealed monster or this card and send the other to the graveyard. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target one Punk monster in your graveyard except a level 5 monster and special summon it, but you cannot special summon your copy of Deer Note for the rest of the turn, which is an insane ability. This card just lets you special summon a Punk monster from your hand and also is basically a monster reborn. We then play 2 copies of Shirakusai. Shirakusai is an amazing 2-of in the build because this card lets you pay 600 life points to fusion summon a Punk fusion monster from your X deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. And during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can pay 600 life points to immediate effect resolves, synchro summon one Punk synchro monster using monsters you control as material, which is a great effect to be able to make your copy of Amazing Dragon during your opponent's turn to get multiple bounces. We then play a single copy of Wagon. Wagon searches your Punk spells by paying 600 life points. We then play a single copy of Madam Spider. Madam Spider searches your Punk traps by paying 600 life points. And then we play 3 copies of Assault Synchron. It's very easy to put your level 8 Punk monsters on your side of the field. And so this card is really good to be able to summon because during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you take 700 points of damage, which is a great effect just to be able to get this tuner on your side of the field so you can climb into some really cool synchro plays, especially having level 8s in this deck helps you go in for level 10 synchro plays, which is so cool. This card also has the ability that while this card is face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters from the X deck except synchro monsters, but it's not going to stay on the field for very long, so that doesn't hurt the deck at all. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is great just to stop our opponent from hand trapping us while we're going in for all of our plays. We then play 3 copies of Crossout Designator. We basically play every single Ghost Girl in the game outside of Cherries, and this card is insane because you can stop pretty much any hand trap with this card, which is so cool, making this card a definite 3-up in the build, especially in a Ghost Girl deck because we're playing all the hand traps just about. We then play a single copy of Punk Jam Extreme Session. This card is basically Pot of Greed. This card is so good because it's searchable off your copy of Wagon, and it has the ability that once per turn, you can banish a Punk card from your graveyard and then special summon 1 Punk monster from your hand. And if a Psychic monster you control paid life points to activate its effects, you can draw a card and you can use this effect of this card up to twice per turn, making this card Pot of Greed. We then play 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Emergency Teleport is definitely a 3-of in the build because this special summons out a Punk monster from the deck because it lets you special summon a level 3 or lower Psychic monster from your hand or deck, but banish it during the end phase, basically taking all of your Punk cards and boosting them up by 3 copies because this card can summon out any of your level 3 Punk monsters, which is so cool. I love this card as a 3-of in the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 3, and that's going to be a single copy of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is really good as a 1-of in the deck, because we can use this card with Crossout Designator, but it's really good as well because it stops monster effects and can lock down entire columns of spells and traps. We then play a single copy of Punk Surprise. Punk Surprise is great because this card lets you target a set card that your opponent controls, or if you control a Punk monster, you can target one face-up card your opponent controls instead and destroy it. We then play a single copy of Dangerous Gaboo. Dangerous Gaboo is really good in this deck as a 1-of, because this card lets you target an effect monster that your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of this turn. Then, if you control a Punk monster, you gain life points to that monster's attack, which is so cool to be able to do because this card is going to let you gain life points, which is going to make your copy of Psychic End Punisher even bigger, which is amazing. This card is so cool as a 1-of, and it is searchable off your copy of Madam Spider, just like your copy of Surprise. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Punk Amazing Dragon. This card is such a powerful card to be able to play in the deck, and it's so easy to summon and spill. And if this card is Synchro Summon, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of level 3 Psychic monsters with different names that you control and in your graveyard and return them back to the hand. You can also target 1 Punk monster in your graveyard except a copy of Amazing Dragon and special summon it, but you can only use 1 effect of this card per turn and only once that turn. But it's still really good to be able to have multiple bounces during your opponent's turn by using Shirakusai to step into this card. We then play a single copy of Psychic End Punisher. This card is insane in the deck. You always summon this card to OTK your opponent, because while your life points are less than or equal to your opponent's, this synchro summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. And once per turn, you can pay 1,000 life points and target a monster that you control and 1 card your opponent controls and banish them. But the big effect on this card is at the start of the battle phase, you can make this card gain attack equal to the difference in your life points and your opponent's life points, making this card have a hilarious interaction with your copy of Spooky Dogwood, because your copy of Spooky Dogwood is going to make your life points get really, really, really big and make this card get massive, which is hilarious to be able to do to OTK your opponent. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is really easy to make in the deck, especially with your copy of Assault Synchron, but it's really good in the deck because if you put both light and dark in this card, meaning your copy of Foxy Tune and your copy of Assault Synchron, it has the ability that basically synchro monsters that you control are unaffected by your opponent's monster's activated effects. If you put dark into this card, then monsters that you control cannot be destroyed by battle, and if this card is summoned to your side of the field, you get to banish a card off the field. We then play a single copy of Baron. Baron is great as a 1-of because this card is a walking negate. Play a single copy of the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign because this card is massive in the deck and it drops your opponent's attack points down, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Jam Dragon Drive. Jam Dragon Drive is really good in this deck as a combo piece. Is that this card is Synchro Summon, or if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Punk card, or it's Synchro Summon, then you can pay 600 life points and then target a level, or take a level 3 Psychic monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard, meaning you can grab your copy of your Ghost Ogre, which is so cool to be able to do with this card. And I love that about this card's ability. We then play a single copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. This card is really good to be able to step into, and it's just a really good card overall in the build because it helps you summon back your copy of Assault Synchron to step into a level 10 Synchro play. We then play a single copy of Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon is really good as a 1-of in the deck because you can make this card using the ability of Excel Synchro, which is just really nice. Plus, it's an additional level 8 you play in the build. We then play a single copy of Rising Carp. Rising Carp is really good as a 1-of in the build because this card lets you tribute this fusion summon card to special summon up to 2 punk monsters with different names from each other from your hand or deck except a level 8 monster in defense position, getting the exact card you want on your side of the field, which is just a really nice ability. And if you synchro summon using this card as a material, then you can target a punk monster you control and they make a second attack during the battle phase this turn, which is a pretty cool ability. We play a single copy of number 90. Number 90 is just really good because this card is a negate. We play a single copy of number 38. Number 38 is also really good in the deck because this card is a spell negate. We can play a single copy of Dingirsu because Dingirsu does send a card to the graveyard when it's XZ summon. We can make level 8s really easily. We then play a single copy of Double A Zeus for a board wipe, and then finally a single copy of Sky Crisis because this card can be made in just about any deck, which is amazing. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Ghost Girl Punk deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's just really fun to be able to play. I absolutely love the Punk engine, and it's just really cool to be able to play with all the different Ghost Girl cards. You can side cherries if you want to with a bunch of targets, which is basically what I was trying to do with this build. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell and there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.